Hey, how's it going? We are continuing a series where we're taking a look at different governments of that and how those governments are allocating their capital. Most likely, some of those governments going to be allocating a percentage of its capital to upgrade its defense or military, right? So it would be training, perhaps equipment, software, hardware, all those good things when it comes to defense. There might be about 2%, right, entire GDP allocated to that. I like to make a case that there might be similar 2% to be allocated to research and development, hopefully. By doing that, those governments would be more reliant or perhaps developing some of the hardware defense when it comes to even some of those areas like military, so we can deliver or develop themselves, right, instead of outsourcing and purchasing from other governments. That's one way to look at it. And defense is their niche area. Perhaps they can improve agriculture as well if it's something that they would decide to do with research and development work that allocated budget can be geared toward. But overall, that would shift in the mindset, if that makes sense. Since currently most of the governments, not all of them, are allocating perhaps less than 1%, right? I'm taking a look at the top performing 10 governments who are allocating most, but that not necessarily limited to some of the best or whatever case might be. I'm only looking at 100% and how 100% is being allocated. Within this video, I'm going to be taking a look at Switzerland, and let's do perhaps something more interesting or kind of fun when it comes to incentives of allocating or some of the so I'll like to make it more interesting, right? So, if anything, why would everyone would be interested in investing? So yourself within the government, if you operating as a business, right? Why you as a business? I would like to make a case 5% as a business. You should be allocating, or perhaps even more than that, research and development. And perhaps within this video, since all those videos gonna be exactly the same. Let's take a look at incentives and why would anyone would be incentivized to allocating large percentage of its money coming in, or perhaps where you're allocating money and money going out, right? And perhaps 5% of your business net profit would be allocated and research and development. I'm looking at the report published where they're discussing tax incentives for research and development in Switzerland. So perhaps it's more of the interesting angle than looking at reasoning why, right? I'm not entirely sure how it works. It depends on the country, country by country, right? So if anything, you can ask your accountant of how and what would be the best practices, or yourself you need to understand and do a little bit more research so you would understand this area a little bit better, but it's a very important area. I'm looking at the report that was published on November 2021. So perhaps it would be more accurate, but it might not be most up to date. But I think most of the systems are still the same. I'll attach the link to this report within the description. Quick introduction, right? I personally believe it's important. That's one reason why I have to extend this video to make it slightly longer. But some of this information is so much words. What you do, like research and development is the essential basis for innovation, and those are also for new product development. It can be products and service development, right? New or improved services and technologies, and ultimately also for Switzerland's further economic development, or research and development is essential for addressing social and economic challenges, including recently emerged pandemic. For this reason, Switzerland has been further developing a framework conditions for its attractiveness as a business location for years with the targeted education, research, and or innovation policies. So at least operating staff within government, right? They're doing something, which is always good that they're doing something. And to say the least, there's a smart people out there that are willing to work together, overcome perhaps some of the differences, right? Even myself, I like to poke some fun. I don't want to close or burn any bridges, right? I'm just having a little bit of fun. Come on. break. And improve its economic appeal throughout strategic targeted investment as a key element has been added since 1st of January 2020 with the implementations of the tax reforms at HV financing. Okay, Bill. So they have again. So we are very narrowing down to Switzerland. There's a lot of information, but perhaps it's not very important since most of the people perhaps won't even be from Switzerland, but perhaps, to say the least, might be interested in doing business with Switzerland. So it's something that Switzerland is doing, and perhaps more governments should take notice of something that has been done, and hopefully that would benefit a lot more governments of everything that's happening. Perhaps let's delve a little bit deeper on some of those reports, but that's just introduction. It's way too lengthy for this video. Today, Switzerland has a. I'm kind of promoting Switzerland, but either way. Today, Switzerland has a strong innovative power at its commonly listed as the world's most innovative country. It's definitely up there. Switzerland owes its important position not only to the large multinational companies resident here, but also the numerous SMEs that boost of their high level of innovation. Myself, I have taken a look to do a little bit more research. I have reached out to Switzerland to do business together with in the last couple of days and trying to understand what's the legal framework since it can be very complex. Hopefully, it's not that complex, and hopefully, people are smart people. Second language might be English, so it won't be very hard. To say the least, it's not very hard and complex to do business with some of those governments. And then someone is doing so much promotion to attract more businesses. Let's reduce complexity when it comes to do business. If anything, there would be some feedback highlights that, right? However, many of these companies are already increasingly conducting research and development abroad, either because of their proximity to sales markets or production sites, or because of lower cost of other more attractive conditions. It is important to concentrate this tendency to relocate research and development, especially in view of strong international competition, in order to maintain straighten Switzerland's position in research and development location at its innovative strength. It's essential to create a framework that promotes innovation, which is good. I completely agree with this person, by the way, as well as I have seen a lot of research centers within Switzerland, and one of those was I have recently covered on the border Switzerland with France. So perhaps there was the investment, perhaps opportunities, and how they can reduce some of their costs, as well as when it comes to policies, they might have their strong legal framework, which is kind of great. On myself, I'm interested to work and collaborate together. I have reached out to some of the centers, and there's no response again. There's no response, as well as perhaps there was the way how they structure some of those contracts. There's no need of more people or businesses reaching out and doing business with some of these centers. Again, perhaps there's a lot of incentives, but perhaps there's more work, if anything, that can be done when it comes to establishing or giving access to some of those facilities. That by adopting the TRAF, so this is how they call this bill within Switzerland, the introduction of the patent box as well as additional RSD deduction as of 1st of January 2020. Switzerland has taken further measures to preserve its appeal as a research and development location, which is kind of great. The aim of this study is to show Switzerland's rank in the international competitions for the tax incentives for research and development after. Oh, not RSD. I'll try to keep. I can make it brief, but I'm not entirely sure if everyone will understand what I'm referring to. After the TRAF has entered into force, and to what extent international development in particularly BEPS 2.0 affects the tax incentives for research and development in Switzerland. As well as I have noticed, perhaps there is something happening within Europe as well when it comes to legal protection of any work that would be done within research and development. So there's a lot of action there. I have read some of the new patents coming into effect. I'm not entirely sure what's happening when it comes to classification or perhaps price of any work to be completed and perhaps some of those incentives. But I've seen something's happening within Europe as well. So it's good that there's more work, so there perhaps they would increase, if anything, activity level. So there will be more people or businesses tackling different issues. Well, I'm not entirely sure how good the business might be and tackling those issues, but at least activity level that more businesses would do more. That's correct. Perhaps they're looking to increase that, which is kind of great, I guess. Myself, I'm looking to do business with Switzerland. I have reached out to them yesterday, as I mentioned, and hopefully we can do some great things together. If anything, there might be some more value in posting some of those reports, perhaps how to reach out, how to begin, where to start, right? There would be emails. So if there would be an email, okay, right now there not necessarily there is an information. If there was an information, perhaps that would information would be directed to someone who would respond, right? So that would help a lot. If anything, there would be some feedback. If anything, good that they are doing something. So let's acknowledge that. Yourself, if you are interested in learning more, I have published a book, Game Structure. Within this book, I'm sharing a lot of information with all the people who like to learn more. Within this book, if I have to break it down and share some brief summary of the book, that will be where you yourself might find in what kind of circumstances. Currently, if you are just beginner, let's say everyone starts with that, where you're doing a lot of research, trying to understand businesses, try to understand different governments, perhaps where you should focus on some of those areas, perhaps something that you understand yourself very well. So you're doing research, right? From there, perhaps you would progress into, or perhaps advance, right, where you actually would take actions and or start a business, right? So you would take those leap, say the least, right, and start a business. From that, if you would progress into once you have a lot of resources, what would be the best way to allocating those resources and investing in different businesses? At least that's how I would break down this book, right? You can find this book in QR code in the corner or company's website below. There's a good, if anything, that there's more people within government taking action and taking a look at current policies and the way how they can improve those, as well as bringing more business or offering more incentives in doing a lot more research and development work within different governments. That's one way to go forward. In particular, some of those countries we're currently looking at Switzerland, right? They're not necessarily have access compared to others in natural resources, oil or others, or right, where they can get away with some of those things, right? Other than that, I'm looking to collaborate and work with to say the least top 10 of those governments. I have reached out to some of those already. In particular, I was focusing or starting with UK, progressing to Europe, and perhaps I would progress to other governments as well. And for myself, I can share some of my experiences of what it's like doing business with them. Hopefully, they're not making things too hard. Let's start with that, and from there, we can highlight what they can do better. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.